The Education Administration Subcommittee will come to order. Members, make sure that you've logged in and you've entered the meeting. Mr. Clerk, if you'll take the roll. Mr. Clerk, if you'll announce the roll.
Mr. Chairman, we have 5 members present. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. And I'm going to start off with 2 personal orders, and then I'll open it up for other members. The first one is to recognize Chairman White on his date of birth. Today is his birthday, so let's give him a hand if you would. And then secondly, I would, what's that? 24. Okay, anybody want to call the question on that? I think, yeah, object to, yeah, there you go. So very good. Well, congratulations, Chairman White, though, on another birthday. Second personal order, I would like to recognize someone who taught for me for a number of years, and she was an art teacher in my school. And so I can't remember how many years ago that was, but an excellent art teacher. And she brought with her some folks from her Classical Conversations homeschool group in Franklin. And so all of you that are with that group, if you'll stand up with Miss Parsons, and let's give them a hand. And thank you for coming by the office. I had a great time with them and got to teach a little civics lesson, and they were great students. So any other personal orders from our members? Seeing none, let me give you a couple updates to the calendar today, and we have several. And item number 22, House Bill 453, will move to space number 14. Item number 11, without objection, House Bill 1262 will be rolled 1 week. Item number 14, House Bill 1150 will be rolled 1 week. Item number 5, House Bill 1188 rolled 1 week. Item number 7, House Bill 505 rolled 1 week. Item number 8, House Bill 174 has been taken off notice. And then item number 18, House Bill 933 is rolled 1 week. And we'll do our best to keep up with all that as we go through today. I'd also remind our members and then other members of the General of the House that our next week will be our final calendar. And any bills for this committee need to be put on notice by this Wednesday, tomorrow, March 12th by 3:30. So all bills need to be put on notice, and that'll give us an idea of what we're looking for our final calendar. All right, with that brings us to item number 1, House Bill 1088. And I believe Representative Scarborough is going to present that. Do I have a motion and a second? Properly motioned, properly seconded. And Representative Scarborough, you are recognized on your bill.
Thank you, Chairman and members. This bill requires local education agencies to receive credible information regarding a threat of violence or significantly disruptive behavior directed toward or occurring on the grounds of a public school, and the law enforcement agency and the local education agency, that reports the threat or disruptive behavior to the state and local law enforcement agency, to also notify the parents and the guardians of the students enrolled in the public school of the same threat and disruptive behavior within 24 hours of the local education agency making its report to law enforcement. We're simply just trying to improve communication between the school system, law enforcement, and parents.
Thank you, sponsor.
I'll take any questions.
Thank you, sponsor. Members, any questions for our sponsor? Seeing none, without objection, we're ready to vote. Mr. Clerk, please open for voting. Members, please cast your vote. Anyone wish to change their vote? Mr. Clerk, please announce the vote.
Mr. Chairman, we have 6 ayes.
Having 6 ayes, that will pass on to full education.
Thank you very much.
All right, that brings us to item number 2, House Bill 764 by Chairman Williams. Chairman Williams, you're recognized. We have a proper motion, a proper second. Chairman Williams, I see that you have an amendment. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, I do. Drafting code 004680.
That's what we have here, and I do see that it rewrites the bill. Members, would you like to add that to the bill? Just properly motioned, properly seconded. All those in favor of adding amendment 4680 to the bill, say aye. Any opposed? The amendment is added, and Chairman Williams, you are recognized on your bill.
Thank you, Chairman and members. This bill was brought to me because of the events that occurred in the schools in my community where a parent was not notified that their child was searched in the school. And I want to thank the Department of Education as well as law enforcement agencies for helping me redraft the amendment, which is before you. But what this simply says is it changes the different sections in the code that a search should not be conducted without one of 3 things being met. It could be done by a school resource officer who's acting for the purpose of the search as a school official and not as a law enforcement agent. Number 2, as a school security officer, or 3, a school administrator who has completed the training based upon the State Board of Education's requirements. Currently, in my local school system and in most of yours, there is a process by rule of how students are searched, generally by a principal. What the Board of Education has done and law enforcement has done is try to find a better way to train the teacher or administrator in this case that's going to do the search while protecting the child's 14th Amendment rights, as well as notifying the parent. That's what this bill does. I'm happy to answer any of the questions that the members may have.
Thank you, Chairman Williams. Any questions for our sponsor? Chairman White, you're recognized.
No, I just want to say thank you for the amendment. Appreciate it.
Any other questions from our members? Seeing none, we are ready to vote on House Bill 764. Mr. Clerk, please open the vote. Members, please cast your vote. Does any member wish to change their vote? Mr. Clerk, please announce the vote.
Mr. Chairman, we have 6 ayes.
House Bill 764 moves out to full education.
Thank you, Chairman. I think I have the next bill on the.
Oh, there we go. That's why you're there. Very good. All right, that brings us to item number 3, House Bill 1175 by Chairman Williams.
I also have an amendment on this
Properly
bill.
motioned, properly seconded. And what's your drafting code, Chairman Williams?
00468.
4468. 4468, is that what you have?
That is correct.
All right, properly motioned, properly seconded. It does rewrite the bill. Without objection, we are voting. All those in favor of adding the amendment to the bill, say aye. Any opposed? And the amendment is added to the bill. And Chairman Williams, you're recognized on your bill.
Thank you, Chairman and members. This bill is the result of a TASER study. I sit, and several other members of this body sit on TASER committee, which studies certain components of state government from the local level to the federal level and the impact that bills may have. As the committee is well aware, there is a challenge with child care facilities across our state in which there are not enough available spots, nor are they as affordable as we'd hope they should be. What this bill is a result of that TASER study and recommendations that TASER made for the Tennessee General Assembly to enact, which would better equip our local communities to provide daycare services. This bill touches on 3 different aspects of revision, and I'll just touch on those quickly, Chairman. First, it gives child care centers the same ability as we did last year when we granted charter schools the opportunity to purchase or lease underutilized properties by LEAs. So in the instance of if there was vacant property like in Sullivan County, and I know about this because it's my old high school when I was a kid, they abandoned the high school there when they built a new one and moved a middle school in to where the high school once was, and there was a available space there that was underutilized. That space now has a daycare facility in Sullivan County that's there for the employees of the school system, and they're able to utilize that. Using that as a guide, those vacant properties could be used for daycare facilities because they're already zoned and coded and designed for facilities. Item number 2, it addresses the problems that school-based childcare programs like YMCAs are facing when operating a childcare program in their facilities. And then finally, a part of the bill addresses something that I see very often as a contractor. When home-based childcare is needing to retrofit a home to meet all the requirements of a facility, for instance, ADA ramps or sprinkler systems or things of that nature that are very expensive, and that cost is usually prohibitive for someone being able to start a new daycare in our facilities. The Section 3 of this bill classifies a child care family home as a residential property for certain purposes. This is not new to the states. There are currently a dozen states that have already passed a similar statute in order to open up additional spaces or locations for child care. And with that, Chairman and members, I would be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you for that explanation. Chairman Sapicki, you're recognized.
Thank you. And thank you, Chairman, for this amendment. I think it clarifies. I just want to make sure on the record. So if you have an LEA that has an existing charter school and there's a vacant property, this bill would allow the charter school to have first right of refusal and then the daycare facility to have second right of refusal.
That is correct. That's the intent.
If there's no charter school, then the daycare facility would have first right of refusal. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from our members? Seeing none, we are ready to vote on House Bill 1175. Mr. Clerk, please open the board for voting. Members, please cast your vote. Does anyone wish to change their vote? Mr. Clerk, please announce the vote.
Mr. Chairman, we have 6 ayes.
House Bill 1175 moves on to full education.
Thank you, Chairman and members. I will leave now.
There you go. Thank you. That brings us to item number 4, House Bill 1199 by Chairman Kumar. Chairman Kumar, you're recognized, and I see you have an amendment. We have a proper motion on your bill. What drafting code are you using?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have 4782.
There we go. That's what we have here. And this does rewrite the bill without objection. Members, we are voting on Amendment 4782. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Your bill is properly amended. You are recognized on your bill.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman and committee, House Bill 1199 takes a simple idea and enlarges to a civic duty and a civic lesson for our students. It requires each school board or the LEA to develop a policy to appoint a non-voting student member with qualifications to be determined by the LEA. And Mr. Chairman, I do have 2 local students who have really worked to develop this idea and are very proud of it. I think it plays a role in their development and civic involvement. They do want to testify.
Yeah, we'd be happy to have them without objection. We are out of session and we have Daniela Suarez and Marion Bekele. And I don't know if I got those names correctly. So when you come on up, if you'll...
The more important thing is that they're here.
There. Do we have both?
Introduce yourself.
And you can either go there or have a seat, whichever you're more comfortable.
I'll just stand right here.
Sure.
Okay.
And if you don't mind, when you begin speaking, if you'll state your name so that we have it for the record and for the video.
Good afternoon. I'm Daniela Suarez. Good afternoon, Chairman Slater, committee members. My name is Danny Suarez. I'm a senior at Mount Juliet High School, and today I've come to tell you of my vehement support for House Bill 1199. House Bill 1199 represents a broader shift in how the government and the people could interact with the opinions and actions of a younger population. In our state, when more than 85% of youth voters did not cast a ballot in the most recent gubernatorial election, it's clear that youth voting, and for that matter, youth engagement, is at a dangerous low. It is imperative that young people, no matter their opinions or beliefs, are aware of what is happening at all levels of government, whether that be in this very chamber, in Washington, D.C., or at the level of their district school board. In general, too few students know about the tremendous impact that local government has on their day-to-day lives. There are students who, like me, care deeply about what is going on in these vital assemblies. I believe it's time for those students to be included in the discussion so that they may communicate the effects of governments to their peers. Passage of this legislation will foster important conversation about student engagement on both sides of the coin. When this bill becomes law, school boards across the state will have to determine their own policy on student engagement. In this way, we reached a best-case scenario. Come July 1st, 2025, there will almost certainly be more students involved in local government. Simultaneously, each school board will be allowed to fix their path and discuss if this approach is right for them. In addition, the current language of this bill has been given the rubber stamp by TSBA and current student school board members from Davidson County. Civic engagement is vital to the success of my generation. By giving young people the resources to lead and be engaged now, we will all but guarantee a more active electorate in the future. If nothing else, this legislation allows us to utilize our voices for true good. After all, who knows their school better than a student? Thank you for your time and all the work you do. I strongly urge your support on this legislation.
Thank you, Danny. And why don't you have a seat right there? Because it looks like we have someone else to speak as well. And then if there are any questions from the committee, you'll be ready to go. Okay. And if you don't mind, you'll be recognized. And when you do, if you'll just state your name so we have it on the record and for the video. And you have 3 minutes, all right?
Okay.
But Danny did fine, and I'm sure you will too. Go ahead.
Thank you. My name is Marin Bakel. I'm a junior at Martin Luther King Junior High School, and I am here to express my support for House Bill 1199 and discuss why I support it. This bill represents a crucial step toward strengthening student engagement in Tennessee's education systems. As school boards will have to establish policies about non-voting student members, this will introduce new conversations and opportunities regarding student engagement. By giving students another opportunity to be engaged in their communities, this legislation helps students to not only gain personal experience and prepare them for the responsibilities of citizenship, but it's also valuable for the communities they will one day lead. Allowing students opportunities to participate in school board discussions gives them real-world experience in civic leadership. A student representative will also be helpful for school boards by providing them with unique and necessary insight, as no one understands the daily realities of Tennessee's classrooms better than the students themselves. Students bring firsthand perspectives that can help school boards make more informed policies. I urge you to support this bill and give Tennessee students a meaningful opportunity to engage with their education system. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Members, anyone have any questions for our guest today? I don't see any, but thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it. Appreciate your passion for this as well, and for your work on getting this bill to this point. Thank you so much. Members, we are back in session. And question from Chairman Sapicki for Chairman Kumar.
Chairman Kumar. So just for the record, to get legislative intent, this non-voting member of the school board as a student, in your intent, would it be that they'd have to be in good academic standing and free from disciplinary action?
Yes, thank you, Chairman Speaker. We discussed this, and I think those are valuable suggestions. But because of concerns about putting too much in the legislation or not, or putting something that may be difficult, we left the responsibility of developing those qualifications, we left it up to the board, and I would think they know their students.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for our sponsor? Chairman White, you're recognized.
No, I was just going to say, I said on a national education board, thank you for bringing this particular bill. We, on this particular board I was on, we invited 3 18-year-olds that were on school boards across the country. And I have never seen such comprehension of the issue and wisdom that came from them. So I'm totally supportive of this. I think students can add a lot to the school board as they share the way they see things. So kudos.
Chairman Kumar?
Thank you for your compliment. I think the students did very well. And I think that seeing these young people articulate their beliefs really restores our faith in our youth. And we have hope. Thank you, Chairman White.
Thank you, sponsor. Any other questions for Chairman Kumar? Seeing none, we are ready to vote on House Bill 1199. Mr. Clerk, please open the board for voting. Members, please cast your vote. Any member wish to change their vote? Mr. Clerk, please announce the vote.
Mr. Chairman, we have 6 ayes.
House Bill 1199 moves on to full education.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee.
That brings us to item number 6, and so I'm going to pass the gavel to Chairman White.
Okay, number 6, that will be, do we have an amendment on this?
Yes.
Okay, members, we are on item number 6, House Bill 1014 by Chairman Slater. I have a motion in a second. It looks like we do have an amendment.
Yes, that drafting code is 3926.
Okay. You got a motion second on your amendment. Does your amendment rewrite the bill or does it just add to it?
It rewrites the bill.
So is there any objection to add the amendment to the bill for proper discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of adding amendment 3926 onto the bill indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. So your bill is properly amended.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A problem that has plagued many schools for a number of years, both public schools, private schools, urban, suburban, rural schools, is that sometimes fire safety code, which is very important. We need to make sure that we keep our students safe from the threat of fire. Sometimes those codes conflict with newer safety measures, especially those that are intended to keep out intruders. And so what this bill will do is to help to put together an appeal process so that when schools face that issue, when there's a conflict between safety and security codes, that those can be addressed. And Chairman White, there are some individuals who are interested in testifying to this issue, and perhaps we could hear from them.
Okay, is there any objection going out of session, members, and hearing from our guests? We have Mr. Andy Brown and a Dr. Lilly. If y'all come up without objection, we're out of session. If y'all come up and occupy the table and okay, if you will, who wants to start? Dr. Lilly or Mr. Brown? Mr. Brown, I'm going to recognize you first to state your name for the audio streaming as you begin.
Okay, my name is Andy Brown.
3 minutes.
Okay, my name is Andy Brown. I'm Assistant Director of Schools for Facilities and Sports Services in Sumner County, and I'm President-elect for the Tennessee School Plant Management Association. I appreciate you, Chairman, members. I appreciate you listening to us today. Probably to keep everything in best perspective, one of the things we need to realize is the increased concern for the safety of our children and our employees in all of the schools. And rightfully so, and all of us play a part, from the lawmakers to the SROs to administration to plant management. We're all part of that. But as you can guess, and as you probably see in what you do every day, each school district is hyper-focused on their district and their district only, just like every good principal is focused on their school and usually just their school. But every fire marshal at the same, for instance, is focused on the life safety of everybody in that building and every building that is in their charge. And so when you have that, sometimes conflict comes around. But the important thing to remember is that every one of us are working towards the same goal. So with everyone focused on their own job, there's bound to be tension. Everyone wants to do their job the best they can, even though the end goal is the same. Oftentimes, methods are not. School administration and plant managers are bombarded every day with different things that come across advertisements on how to make those classrooms secure. We appreciate it. We look at them all. Some of them seem to be a great idea. but do they complement our life safety or do they contradict it? And that's kind of where it comes into play. When you look at that, that's what our fire marshals are looking at. Our fire marshals are looking to see about egress, how people are going to get in and out, how to keep everybody safe in situations such as fires. I personally have 52 school buildings, not to mention all the other buildings that are there. We deal with fire marshals on a daily basis. And we try to foster a good communication level with them. But it's safe to say sometimes we think things are a great idea and we find out that maybe they're not a great idea. So we've got to come up with a compromise. But this particular bill that we're talking about today is made to foster communication between all parties. When a problem arises, it's a great idea. You can never over communicate. I applaud you on that. But I've also found that there's never been a time that I've talked to a fire marshal about anything before we did anything, that fire marshal was not readily available and available to assist us. So collaboration up front is also a key as well. When any problems arise, all you've got to do is talk. If you guys are putting in here to have a committee that can talk about this in each individual school district, I think that's a great idea. This does not
3 minutes. Okay. Mr. Brown, let me go to Dr. Lilly since your time's up, and then we'll come back, let you finish with any questions of the committee. Let you finish up. Dr. Lilly.
Good afternoon. I am Gary Lilly, Executive Director of the Tennessee Organization of School Superintendents. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to this issue and for your willingness to listen, deliberate, and make the best decision for schools and our students. To be clear, I am neither an expert on fire safety or life safety, but I did serve as a superintendent for 15 years, during which time I was frustrated on numerous occasions because it was difficult at times to reconcile recommendations of our fire and police professionals. I have a deep and genuine appreciation for the heroes that rush into a burning building or toward the sound of gunshots in an effort to save lives, especially the lives of children. My testimony is not intended to diminish their opinions or contributions in any way. On the contrary, superintendents value their opinions and want to enlist their help to make our buildings as secure and safe as possible. I think the issue is that fire and police officials must consider each situation from their own perspective. As a result, an SRO or other officer might believe a device that barricades exit doors on a building is a great idea, while the fire inspector would likely object because such a device would require more than a single movement to open the door in the event of a fire. A colleague in Bradley County, Superintendent Dr. Linda Cash, recently described a scenario that she has given me permission to share. A parent-teacher organization purchased a device that went over the door handles, but the fire marshal would not allow them to use it. They had also reviewed a door lock that required one to step on a release to open the door, which was prohibited as well because it took 2 steps to open the door. Over the years, I have mediated numerous disagreements between principals who have had ideas about securing their buildings and our own operation folks who have objected due to fire codes. In my experience, fire and police officials acknowledge the tension between their perspectives, but are very hesitant to weigh in on each other's recommendations, which I understand. While I appreciate the professional courtesy of staying in one's lane, it can leave superintendents without clear direction as how to best reconcile varying opinions and options to keep students safe from fire, violent intruders, and other dangers, while also managing the logistics of student, staff, and visitor movement within and around the building. School age, layout, and construction standards can vary dramatically even within the same district. Anything that can be done to bring all perspectives and ideas to the table to determine the best course of action for keeping students and staff safe will be a positive. Thank you.
Thank you for both. Any members have any questions or comments to our guest? Chairman Subcommittee.
Mr. Brown, could you finish up your statement you were going to make?
The last statement I had is no matter what has come about between school district or fire marshal, there's never been a time by communicating that we've not come to an amicable solution.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Anyone else have a question? Seeing none. Thank you all so very much for coming in and testifying. Appreciate your time. We're now back in session and we're on the bill,
Yeah.
which is, hang on one second. House Bill 1014. Members have any questions of the sponsor of the bill right now? Chairman Slater, I recognize you last.
This bill will just put into place a way for schools, when there are such conflicts as we've heard, it'll put an appeal process in place so that we can keep our students safe, both from fire and then other threats. And I would appreciate your support.
Question been called. Any objection to the question? Seeing and hearing none, would the clerk please ask for the vote? Mr. Clerk, would you call the vote?
Mr. Chairman, we have 6 ayes.
Thank you very much. House Bill 1014 moves out to full committee.
All right, members, that brings us to item number 9, House Bill 552 by Representative Warner. Properly motioned, properly seconded, and Representative Warner, you are recognized on your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. It's an honor to be here in front of you today and present this bill. House Bill 552, the FREE Act, the Family Right to Educational Emancipation Act. Members, this bill, the FREE Act, will cost the state of Tennessee nothing. The FREE Act offers homeschool families in Tennessee a true educational choice by empowering them and putting them in the driver's seat of their children's education. The FREE Act creates additional, separate, and distinct category for homeschool families who desire to compete in educational autonomy. This bill does not replace any of the current 3 legal homeschool options in Tennessee. Families can still choose to register under the current legal homeschool options. This bill would create an additional choice for homeschool families. This homeschooling category would not be an option for families wishing to utilize Education Freedom Scholarship funds or for families wishing to participate in any government-affiliated programs like the TSSAA Sports, for example. To qualify for any of those programs or services, families would need to register under one of the other legal homeschool categories. This bill does not seek to limit parental choice. It expands parental choice. As you know, members, back in the special session, we just passed a $500 million education. It was called the Education Freedom Scholarship, I think. This bill right here is true freedom education. It gives the parents the ultimate choice to choose what they want best for their children. It's a parents' rights bill, and it's a free education bill. And the best part of this bill is it does not cost the state a dime. With that, Mr. Chairman, I renew my motion.
Thank you, Representative. And we do have some individuals who would like to testify regarding this bill. And I would ask them to go ahead and come up and have a seat. First of all, Hazel St. John. You can choose any chair there, and we'll take care of the microphone for you. Also, Claiborne Thornton. See here. There we go. All right. You can choose any chair as well. And then, and I may not get this right, Mariah Ivy, is that correct?
I am so proud, yes.
There we go, Mariah Ivy. Okay, very good. All right. If you will, we'll take care of turning on the mics. We'll start over here, and be sure, if you would, that you announce your name so we have that, and you'll have 3 minutes. Thank you.
All right. My name is Mariah Ivy. It's a privilege to be here. I didn't get the customary email, so I feel super privileged to be here. I live in Mount Juliet, and I have 7 children. I've been home educating in Tennessee for 19 years. I started my journey by registering with Berean Christian School in Knoxville, which offered an umbrella school that required yearly standardized testing. When I moved to the Nashville area, I registered with Gateway Christian School, which has a physical school in Memphis, but offers umbrella school services to homeschoolers across Tennessee with no standardized testing required. Currently, I'm registered as an independent homeschooler with Wilson County Schools, which requires me to test my kids in grades 5, 7, and 9. I write their transcripts and issue their diploma. So far, I have graduated 3 home educated children who are following their God-given talents and doing well. I'm excited for this new distinct category of homeschooling created by the FREE Act. With this new category, I can continue to write my own transcripts and not have to fill out Byzantine forms that say, yes, my kids were home and learning for 180 days. For those who want more support, those options remain. This option provides language that creates true autonomy for home educators, which in turn is what makes home education so successful. According to Homeschool Legal Defense, safety has recently surpassed academics and religious reasons to homeschool. Parents are not only worried about school shootings, but abuse at public schools. Just last year, 350 public school teachers were arrested for sex crimes perpetrated against minors. The U.S. Department of Justice estimates that 10% of K through 12 students will experience abuse at the hands of a school employee at some point in their education. Because there is no federal Clery Act for K-12 education, these schools self-report, and the figures may actually be much higher. According to the U.S. Department of Education, sex traffickers recruit their victims primarily through social media, public school, and after-school programs. In addition, families are concerned about educational neglect. Just yesterday, I had a lady contact me for advice for her son who has been warehoused in a public school for the past 6 years without making progress on his IEP. Now he's 18 and the school wants her to sign papers for him to quit. I helped her brainstorm ideas on how to move forward with him. The school system might quit on kids, but mamas never do. Many people move to our state seeking to live a free and inspired life, but find our homeschool laws confusing. I have both liberal and conservative homeschool friends, and everyone I talk to is excited to see this new category become a reality. The FREE Act will make Tennessee the 13th state in the country with this level of homeschool freedom, as it just became a law in Wyoming without a problem. This new option would put parents in the driver's seat and honor every parent's right to educate their children without bureaucracy. I hope you will consider adding more freedom to Tennessee today by voting yes on the FREE Act.
Thank you. Mr. Claiborne?
Hello, my name is Claiborne Thornton. I'm president of the Tennessee Home Education Association, an opportunity I've had since 1984. This bill would add a new category for homeschoolers to be able to legally homeschool in Tennessee. It does something that I think is important in terms of addressing the matter of compulsory attendance. When our state was founded, we have in our Constitution that the legislature would make available a free system of public schools. And I think that that is a critical matter for our republic to continue. A republic cannot continue without an educated citizenry. It is interesting to me to note that in our state law, there's a lack of definition of a word school. That seemed quite odd to me. School seems like the very concept that you would want to write and describe what that is. I also find myself asking the question not infrequently, what does an educated citizen need to know? If a republic cannot continue without an educated citizenry, what does that Tennessee citizen need to know? What history, what math, what political science, what things do they need to know to be able to be successful in their educational program so that our state can continue, so that our country can continue? I also would raise an issue to you, and not related to this bill, but with the potential disruption of the U.S. Department of Education. I believe you'll find that there's 60% plus of the employees in the Tennessee Department of Education that are fully funded by the federal Department of Education. That may have a significant impact. So we have changes that are coming to us in the world of education. What we're trying to do in home education is to define some small islands of safety so that people would be successful at having opportunities to train their children. I believe that God assigned the responsibility for education to dads and moms. He gave that responsibility, that authority, that charge. And I think we try to understand how to work in conjunction with the civil government and with the church government to be able for those family governments to do the assigned responsibility that they have. I believe that this bill will help to achieve that responsibility, will help to make it more possible for families to be able to take on that responsibility. And I might take one more second to just say to you that from the foundation of our state in 1796 until 1905, we had no compulsory attendance in this state. from 1905 until today, 120 years later, 109, now 120 years, we've had compulsory attendance. I would ask you, is our educational systems better now with compulsory attendance than it was when we were freer? And I would encourage you to look at that as a reality, because we existed for 109 years without a compulsory attendance statute. And I can show you on my copy of the.
We're at 3 minutes, Mr. Thornton. Thank you so much for your testimony. Members, any questions for our guest? Seeing none, without objection, we'll be back in session. Thank you so much for coming and testifying today. We are back in session, and do you have any comments?
Yes,
Sponsor?
Mr. Chairman, and again, thank you. It's an honor to be here in front of you. As the Mrs. Here pointed out, there are 13 states that already do this, and I think this would be great for Tennessee to give these homeschool folks a different option, and I urge your support for the bill. Thank you.
Members, any questions for our sponsor? I have just 2 items. First of all, let me share with you, I won't share both paragraphs, but I heard from my juvenile court judge in Sumner County. And let me just mention, I'll just read a couple of sentences that are not taken out of context, but just for sake of time. He writes, it could potentially create a loophole for some rather unscrupulous parents to abuse Tennessee's educational system. And then he continues to write in the second paragraph, and our greatest fears, unscrupulous parents, when threatened with the notions of mandatory reporting of abuse, would remove a child from school and place them under the umbrella provided by this bill so as to avoid detection. And I tend to share the concern. We have homeschoolers in the room here, some that are great friends of mine for a very long time. And I certainly understand the importance of the freedom to homeschool. We can't forget that there are those parents, however, that unfortunately they do not have good intent, even for their own children and sometimes for children that they care for. And at least I must agree with the juvenile court judge here who deals with this, unfortunately, day in and day out, that this legislation could open the door to that. Would you like to respond to those comments?
Yes. First of all, thank you, Chairman, and I appreciate the judge's comments. We have bad actors everywhere in this country, and it's a terrible thing, especially when the bad actors prey upon the most vulnerable, and that being our children. As the Mrs. here presented in her testimony, we see abuse and child neglect and everything across the board, whether they're in public school, private schools, home schools, or whatever. I'm never going to be a believer that the government knows what's best for our children over their parents. It should be the parents' right to determine how they want to educate that child. And I'm just a firm believer in that. And, you know, we could go back and forth, and there's always going to be those cases that you pointed out, whether it be public, private, or homeschool. So I really think it's a moot point at this, you know, and I just don't know. I mean, like I say, we could argue back and forth, but I believe, you know, that there's bad actors everywhere.
Thank you. Members, any other questions for our sponsor? Seeing none, we're ready to vote on House Bill 552. Mr. Clerk, please open the vote. Mr. Clerk, please take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 1 aye, 5 nays.
House Bill 552 fails.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee.
That brings us to, okay, item number 10. Without objection, item number 10 is rolled 1 week. That brings us, members, to item number 12. Item number 12, House Bill 902 by Representative Jones. Without objection, we'll roll to the heel. That brings us, members, to item number 13, House Bill 1250 by Representative Mayberry. Do I have a motion? Properly motioned, properly seconded. And I don't see any amendment. Is that correct? Representative Mayberry, you are recognized on your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the committee, today I bring you House Bill 1250, which allows local school boards and charter schools to employ or accept as a volunteer chaplains that support students, teachers, and families. Chaplains are a proven model. They already serve in our military's, hospitals, and first responder agencies, and they offer trauma care, crisis support, and emotional guidance. This is a voluntary. Schools will, if they choose to have chaplains, students and parents choose if they want to engage. No one is forced to participate. Chaplains are a safe, confident space for those who seek their guidance. If safeguards are in place, chaplains must pass background checks and follow school policies. They are not protected from they are not protected for liability if they act maliciously. This strengthens parental rights by giving parents another option to support resources for their children. And I urge you today to support House Bill 1250. Thank you, and I stand ready for your questions.
Members, questions for our sponsor? Chairman Reedy, you're recognized.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Representative, I appreciate the bill. And of course, in your life experiences, how often have you or other ministers been called into duty across our state whenever there's a crisis?
You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman, I appreciate the question. Quite often, actually, you would be surprised. Anytime there's any type of crisis at a school, it is very common for ministers within the community to be called into the school to help deal with support. We're the ones that are interacting with a lot of these families day to day, and we're there, when they're needed. And actually right now, schools are very open to allow churches to come into the schools. A lot of times we're partners of education already in the community, and we already have those relationships with schools. So that to answer your question, yes.
Follow up?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. And of course, like I said, I appreciate this piece of legislation because you're bringing it to the forefront saying, okay, most of us are already doing that in our school systems, but then just kind of having the conversation to let others know, hey, this is okay. It's permissive. It's something that maybe you need to consider because absolutely not all LEAs or charter schools are doing it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Chairman Sapicki?
Thank you. And hopefully the bill sponsor can answer this question for me. School chaplain, is it defined in your bill?
You're recognized.
Yes. It says here that it's a member of the clergy who is credentialed by a religious organization, functions in a pluralistic environment, and supports directly or indirectly the free exercise of religion by all individuals in schools.
Follow up?
So just for legislative intent, a rabbi would qualify for this, a Catholic priest would qualify for this, that type of clergy. Is that what your intent is?
So
you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this would be up to the bill doesn't specifically say what religion or background or denomination. The bill simply allows a district to choose to enact this or not, and then at the school level, they would hire the person.
Chairman Sapicki?
That's fine. That's good.
Any other questions from our members? Seeing none, we are ready to vote on House Bill 1250. Mr. Clerk, please open the board for voting. Mr. Clerk, please take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 5 ayes, 1 nay.
House Bill 1250 moves on to full education.
Thank you, committee.
Point of order, Chairman Sapicki.
I just found out from the Sergeant at Arms that Representative Jones is asking to roll her bill a week.
Okay, without objection, what House Bill is?
902.
Without objection, House Bill 902 has been rolled 1 week. That brings us to Representative Hertz bill, item number 22, members. Let me get there. House Bill 453, item number 22 on the calendar. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Properly motioned, properly seconded, and Representative Hurt, you're recognized on your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 453 seeks to clarify the time frame in which public and private schools must hold a fire drill. Present law requires the Commissioner of Commerce and Insurance to require fire drills in educational occupancies. In educational occupancies where such occupancies constitute the major occupancy of a building, full evacuation fire drills must be held at least once every 30 school days, with 2 fire drills occurring during the first 30 full days of the school year. House Bill 453 provides in the event the state's 30 school day fire drill requirement conflicts with local, county, city, or municipal law concerning the time frame in which fire drills and educational occupancies must occur, the state requirement controls. Several schools are receiving mixed messages from their local fire marshal on whether the fire drill is required every 30 school days or every 30 calendar days. Holding a drill every 30 calendar days can be disruptive to instruction if multiple drills are held in a short period of time, in a short period due to school breaks, weekends, and other absences, which require the drill schedule to be condensed to meet compliance. And with that, Mr. Chair, I'll take any questions.
Any questions from our members? And I would say, sponsor, that you are correct that there is a lack of clarity here. And I know that from 30 plus years in K-12 education that if you ask 2 different people, you'll probably get 2 different answers on this. Thank you for bringing this legislation. With that, seeing no other questions, without objection, we are voting. Mr. Clerk, please open the vote. Mr. Clerk, please take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, we have 6 ayes.
House Bill 453 moves out to full education. Members, that brings us back to item number 15, House Bill 506 by Representative Love. Without objection, we will roll that to the heel. That brings us to item number 16, House Bill 1113 by Representative Hardaway. Properly motioned, properly seconded, and Representative Hardaway, I don't see an amendment here, so you're recognized on your bill.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, committee members. And for the sake of transparency, Representative Chris Hurd and I have had conversation, and we're probably going to offer something between now and the full committee. But I'd like to move ahead with the bill. We have individuals who are here to testify. Mr. Chairman, House Bill 1113 allows the participation of the way that it's currently structured, the participation of the legislators on a 3-star safety committee, which is currently housed within the Department of Health. This bill would establish a safety committee that would be composed of the Department of Health Commissioner, the Department of Education's Commissioner, and 2 House members appointed by the Speaker from the Education Committee and the Health Committee, and 2 Senate members who would also be appointed by their Speaker and their corresponding committees on health and education. The goal was to allow the input of the parents through their legislators in establishing the safety review and subsequent rules and suggestions that come out of the committee. And by having the legislators engaged, it allows the parents to be engaged and that direct involvement with their legislators to actually have input into those rules. What we have today, Mr. Chairman, is an opportunity to hear from Mr. Dennis Price Sr. He will relate to you if you choose to hear from him. His experience with a lack of knowledge, unfortunately, that caused him to lose his son, Dennis Price Jr. And without getting ahead of his testimony, Mr. Chairman, I would ask that the committee would hear from him.
Without objection, we are going to go out of session, and Dennis Price, if you would come up, please, and you can take a seat.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not sure if he was the only one that signed up or whether there are others.
So I see others. I didn't know. So we'll go ahead and have all three. I have three on the list. So I have a Roderick Cross, a Reginald Shaw, and then Dennis Price. Is that correct? Okay, there you go. And if y'all will have a seat there, we'll go ahead and take care of the mics for you. And we'll go ahead and we'll start on your right. And we'll go and remember that you have 3 minutes, and then we'll have some time for questions if we need any follow-up. And identify yourself when you begin. Thank you.
Thank you. First of all, my name is Reginald Shaw, and I apologize for my voice, but I am Dennis Price Jr.'s uncle, and I watched him grow from a little chubby kid to a nice 6'3" teenager. The last time I saw him was the Sunday before he died, and he was perfect. The next Sunday, he was gone. Now, I've been in this family since, 43 years, so he was 15 when I met him, which was the same age his son died. And I've always prided myself on being the guy who can fix stuff. Issues come up in the family, situations. I couldn't fix this one. So I'm in support of this amendment to this bill so that we can fix it for some other families. Thank you. That they won't have to suffer or go through what we went through. If we just got knowledge of the condition that Dennis Jr. Price was suffering from or undetected, then we probably wouldn't be here today. But we did not have that. And so this bill that we're trying to support is to fix it for the next family before it happens. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you. You're recognized.
Chairman, distinguished committee members. My name is Rod Cross. I'm from Sherwood, Arkansas. I've known Dennis for close to 40 years. Became acquainted with Dennis through a mutual friend, and Dennis and his family's his former wife, Jean, his daughter, Danielle, and DJ. And upon first meeting the family, I was struck by the relationship that Dennis had with his kids, in particular DJ. They, we used to sit and laugh and talk all the time. I distinctively remember times when we were at their house and we'd be watching basketball games. DJ sitting on the floor, Dennis yelling at the screen about the Memphis Grizzlies and how they were losing and ways they should do better. And DJ sitting there watching him, taking all this stuff in. A few years later, Dennis called me. He was talking about how DJ had taken interest in basketball. And me, having played ball with Dennis before, there's no way that I could imagine him being interested in basketball after watching him play and knowing that he could not play. And so became interested in DJ and his story about how he progressed in playing basketball. And Dennis invited me to come watch him play. So one Sunday, as I promised, I went to watch DJ play, and I saw a kid who was, as he just mentioned, was strong, coachable, and athletic, and had a good deal of promise, a good kid. And so after that, I made it a point to follow DJ. a few years later, a mutual friend that first made me acquainted with Dennis called me, and she was crying hysterically. Never heard that before from her. And she said, I was like, what's the matter? She said, DJ is gone. I said, DJ who? She said, DJ. I said, who is DJ? And she said, Dennis Jr. The silence that you hear right there is the same silence that she heard, because I could not imagine. Because the last time I saw DJ, he was running up and down the court. And so my next question was, and I pretty much already knew, how's Dennis? And as she, he's, as you can imagine, he's not good. Those were her words. He's not good. And so fast forward to where Dennis.
That's 3 minutes, and we'll have a time for questions in just a minute, okay? And Mr. Price, would you like to make some comments? Mr. Price, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chairman and committee members. It's an honor and a privilege to be here. I'm here to represent my son, Dennis Price Jr., and the Dennis Price Jr. Foundation. As you've heard, I was a truck driver, and I was working that Sunday when he passed away. And I was driving an 18-wheeler with 2 trailers on a 2-lane highway when his mom called me to tell me that my son that my son had passed. As you can imagine, I had to drive that truck another hour and a half to get where I was going because there was no place for me to pull over. So I'm here today to represent the Dennis Price Jr. Foundation, who has partnered with Labana Hospital, UT, and with Dr. Ryan Stevens. And we are implementing a more in-depth physical, a pilot program that has already been approved by Memphis Shelby County Schools for Westwood High School. We're going to start those physicals in April. So I'm just here in support of this, of amending this bill. Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, committee members. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mr. Price. Members, do you have any questions for our guest? Representative Hurt, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to give the gentleman in the middle a second to finish up his thoughts before we move on.
Mr. Shaw, you're recognized.
Thank you.
Mr. Cross.
Mr. Cross,
you're recognized.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So as I was stating, fast forward a few years later, we're here with Dennis, who's grief-stricken. He's taken that grief and he's turned that into a positive with the Dennis Price Jr. Foundation and the DJ's Care Closet, where what he does is he goes into schools and he provides essential items that students need in order to participate in school activities. Things like toiletries, shoes, clothes, book bags, all the items that coats, all the items that kids need, but in underserved communities may not have and can't afford, and he provides these things anonymously. The kids can go in without any fear of being, because just face it, kids can be cruel, right? When they don't have these items, they can go get these things without any questions asked. It doesn't cost any money whatsoever. And so Dennis, through DJ's legacy, has provided this for the community. And so, and another arm of that is the support of the bill. I've been an athlete for my entire life, for the most part, and I've participated in many physicals. And those physicals were essentially a joke, right? All you do is you go in, you cough, turn your head to the left, turn your head to the right. They check your eyes, ears, nose, and they send you on your way. Had there been a program such as this in place for DJ, where they would have detected something like this, a tragedy such as this would not have befell Dennis and the Price family. So again, we're here in support of the bill, and with your blessing, it will get passed.
Representative Hurt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you all for being here and the explanation. And members, this could probably be done after we went back in session, but while we had our guest here, I wanted to kind of comment and thank Representative Hardaway. We've been in conversation. Many of you know there's been a lot of work put into the Safe Stars program leading up to today, and his goal is to provide an advisory committee that will allow parents an opportunity with the information and the services they provide to have a voice at the table through their representatives. And without getting into the amendment, I appreciate his work and his willingness to listen, that we will address hopefully in full committee to make sure that the committee that's already there is not disrupted in any way, but benefits from the advisory committee. So that's our goal moving forward. And I think there were some concerns that maybe something could have been undone from what has been done. And with him working with me, I feel confident we can get to the point that we don't do that, but we add to the committee and some more voices from parents. So I wanted to say thank you, Representative Hardaway, for listening to me and continuing to work, and to all of you for being here, number one, but for also what you're doing to add to the safety of the youth of our state. So thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Representative Hurt. Any other questions or comments for our guest? Thank you so much for being here. And Mr. Price, I understand some of what you're going through. My wife and I, we lost our youngest son in 2005, and it's no easier today to think about that than it was that many years ago. So thank you for coming to testify. All right, without objection, we are back into session. Chairman Sapicki, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Hardaway, can you just briefly explain what changes you're wanting to make to the current status quo in regards to the Safe Stars Act?
Thank you, Chairman. And I'll try to keep it simple. Currently, the advisory group is within the Department of Health in consultation with the Department of Education. This would this committee would be comprised of the Department of Health's commissioner or designee, the Department of Education's commissioner or designee, and 2 Senate representatives who would be appointed by the Speaker of the Senate, and 2 House members who would be appointed by the Speaker of the House. And it would be, in my opinion, it would be more representative of the information that our constituents already have. There's more to it than merely the medical advice. There's a lot that we're going to glean from this constituency of ours, of the student athletes, that goes above and beyond just a pure medical and physical health. I think we'll gain insight because of the kind of work that is going on with the Foundation for Dennis Price Jr. I think that we'll gain insight into some of the emotional and mental and psychological issues and trauma that are comprised from some of the things that our student athletes, boys and girls, are going through. So we're going to have more information. It will be a fairer representation of how and what needs to be done to further ensure